Hello everyone, and welcome to your English lesson. Today, we're not just learning grammar and vocabulary. We're traveling back in time to meet a man who changed music forever. A man known as the King of Rock and Roll, Elvis Presley. In this lesson, you'll learn about his incredible life, and more importantly, you'll learn how to talk about biographies, past events, and cultural icons in English. Get ready to learn and rock. The birth of a legend. On a cold winter day, January 8, 1935, in a small, humble shack in Tupelo, Mississippi, a boy was born whose voice would one day resonate across the world. They named him Elvis Aaron Presley. He had an identical twin brother who died at birth, and this early tragedy created a deep and poignant bond between Elvis and his mother, Gladys. They lived in poverty. His father, Vernon, constantly struggled to find work. They had nothing but each other. Gladys called her son her only boy, and Elvis, in turn, was intensely attached to her. Life in Tupelo and later Memphis gifted him a rich cultural tapestry of black gospel music, Mississippi blues, and white country music. He grew up with these sounds in church and on the streets of impoverished neighborhoods, unaware that this fusion was the unique gift that would one day shake the world. The year was 1953. Elvis was an 18-year-old truck driver with dreams of stardom. For his mother's birthday, he went to Sun Records and paid $4 to record a two-sided acetate record. Standing with his guitar, his voice trembling, he sang "My Happiness." It was a simple act, but it was like a stone that started an avalanche. Sam Phillips, the studio owner, saw something in the raw, passionate voice of this young man. A year later, he invited Elvis to the studio to experiment with a few local musicians. The session seemed unproductive until, during a break, Elvis spontaneously launched into an upbeat, excited version of an old blues song called "That's All Right." Scotty Moore, guitarist, and Bill Black, bassist, immediately joined in. They had created something that didn't exist before, a white voice singing blues like a black singer, infused with the raw, rebellious energy of rockabilly. Upon hearing it, Sam Phillips knew he had found a diamond. He confidently stated, "If I could find a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel, I could make $1 million." Elvis's first live performance on the Louisiana Hayride instantly made him a local phenomenon. Young girls screamed and cried with excitement. But the real turning point was his appearance on the famous nationwide TV program, The Ed Sullivan Show. The cameras were only allowed to film him from the waist up, but when Elvis started moving to the rhythm of Hound Dog, shaking his legs, the excitement and energy were so intense it was as if a lightning bolt had struck the homes of millions of Americans. He didn't invent rock and roll, but he made it mainstream. The tall, slicked-back blonde hair, the flashy jackets and tight pants, the penetrating gaze and mischievous smile, and most importantly, the provocative, kicking hip movements known as Elvis the Pelvis, shocked, captivated, and thrilled everyone. For the younger generation, he was a symbol of rebellion and freedom. For the older generation, he was a dangerous threat. He released one timeless hit after another: Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, Love Me Tender. Each one was a bombshell. He had become the king. At the peak of his fame, in 1958, a devastating blow changed his life forever. His beloved mother, Gladys, passed away. Elvis never fully recovered from this loss. Just a few months later, he was drafted into the United States Army. Many assumed this would be the end of his career, but Elvis endured this period with courage. His service in Germany brought him two things: a love affair with a 14-year-old girl named Priscilla Beaulieu, the daughter of an officer, and an addiction to stimulants and sedatives. First given to him to endure long shifts and the grief of his mother's death, the beginning of a tragedy. Upon his return from the army, the music world had changed. Instead of grueling tours, he turned to Hollywood. But his films, despite their box office success, were often formulaic and weak. He was trapped in a cycle of soulless contracts and trivial songs. The genius had been silenced. The king was losing his crown. By the 1960s, with the rise of the Beatles and the hippie movement, Elvis was no longer considered a rebel. He had become a safe symbol of the past. But he decided to come back. In December 1968, NBC aired a one-hour television special that would later be known as the '68 Comeback Special. Elvis, in a tight black leather suit and boots, stood before a live audience with no elaborate sets and sang. This time, he wasn't an actor from trivial movies, but that same passionate and confident musician again. His performance of songs like If I Can Dream, filled with social passion and hope, proved to everyone that the king was still on his throne. This special became one of the most glorious comebacks in music history. This golden comeback led to a new and brilliant chapter: live performances in Las Vegas and extensive tours. He was back on top. In 1967, he married Priscilla, and in 1968, they had their only child, Lisa Marie. But this happiness did not last. His severe drug addiction destroyed his marriage, and Priscilla left him in 1972. Elvis became a prisoner in his Graceland mansion. Away from the public eye, he battled depression, illness, and addiction. The strong, beautiful body of his youth had become a listless mass, dependent on medication. His performances in the late 1970s were often marked by forgotten lyrics and strange behavior. Watching the decline of a legend was painful for his fans. On August 16, 1977, just as he was about to leave for a new tour, his girlfriend, Ginger Alden, found his body on the bathroom floor of Graceland. Elvis Presley was only 42 years old. The cause of death was announced as cardiac arrhythmia, caused by polypharmacy. But legends never die. The news of his death plunged the world into shock and mourning. Thousands gathered in Memphis to pay their respects. The life of Elvis Presley was a Greek tragedy, a poor boy who rose to immense wealth and fame but could not escape the specter of his inner loneliness and pain. He was the voice of a generation, an artist who transcended racial and social boundaries and democratized music forever. He was the king, and his legacy, from his music to his legend, will live on eternally in our culture. As he himself said, "Music isn't meant to make money. If you look at it that way, you won't succeed. Music should come from inside you, be something that you feel." And until his last breath, he sang what he felt. So, we traveled through the life of Elvis today and learned some English along the way. Now, I have a mission for you. Write one thing you found most interesting about him in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more lessons where we learn English through amazing stories. Until next time, keep rocking and keep learning. Bye.